I am in Evans, Colorado, and I will be net control for tonight's NCARC TechNet. I know y'all were expecting Kyle, but you'll just have to put up with me instead tonight because he got called away to work. The purpose of the TechNet is to enlighten amateur radio operators on topics of a technical nature. We will do our best to answer any technical questions to benefit all listening. If a subject has never been made clear to you, this is an excellent opportunity to find an answer. If anyone feels that they have information that will help regarding that subject, please give your call sign. Net control will acknowledge you, and we can get your input. This is a directed net. All traffic will go through net control. The net may be interrupted at any time for emergencies or priority traffic. If you need to use the system for an emergency, please say break or give your suffix of your call sign. We will acknowledge you and suspend the net until you advise that you are clear. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All licensed amateur radio operators with 77-meter privileges are encouraged to check into the net. Club membership is encouraged, but not required for participation. Check-ins are requested to count how many people participate, and no checkout is required. This is N0NYY, net control for tonight's NCARC TechNet. When checking in, please give your call sign slowly. Some grumpy old guy is trying to write all this down, and you got to slow down. I can't write as fast as you can talk. Please give your call first alphabetically, N0NYY. Then again, using the ITU phonetic alphabet, November, 0, November, Yankee, Yankee, along with your name and location. When checking in, please state if you have a topic or a question that you would like to discuss, and I will make a note of it as I check you in. I will take check-ins in groups of 3. When I have acknowledged the first group of 3, we will move on and take the second one, or the next one, or the next one. I will leave a couple of breaks to find out if anyone wants to check in on Echolink. For those of you that do not know, if you're using Echolink, you have to wait until the repeater transmitter drops before Echolink will allow you to key up. Not just a courtesy beep, the repeater has to drop completely. Are there any stations wishing to check in through Echolink this evening? Echolink stations only. Please call now. All right, not hearing anybody on Echolink. By the way, we will leave periodic breaks and let the repeater drop so that the Echolink folks may have a chance to check in if they wish. We will also take late check-ins through the net, throughout the net this evening. I will start by taking check-ins from call suffixes alpha through Mike. Remember 3 at a time. Remember, please go slow. Anyone who wishes to check in, suffix alpha through Mike, please call now.
This is Go MLG Kilo 0 Mike Lima Go Marty Mobile Fort Collins.
Kirk in Fort Collins.
WA0 BFD Whiskey Alpha 0 Bravo Foxtrot Delta Jerry Loveland, Colorado. No traffic.
Okay, we'll take a short break there. Got Marty, got Jerry. I heard Kurt, but I did not get your call because you doubled with Marty and Marty won. Kurt, please call again with your information.
Kilo Foxtrot 0 Echo Bravo Sierra. Kirk in Fort Collins, and no traffic.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen, and that acknowledges KF0 EBS. Next 3, please call now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0 Golf Quebec Hotel, KF0 GQH, Kent in Wellington, no traffic.
This is N0EMP, November 0, Echo Mike Papa. Greg in Fort Collins, just pulling into the neighborhood. No traffic.
This is K0ARD, Kilo 0, Alpha Romeo Delta, and in Fort Collins.
All right. I would like to acknowledge KF0GQH, N0EMP, K0ARD. And your audio is a little bit late. I was able to copy you, but be advised you could use a little bit of bolster there. All right. Next 3, please call now.
W0LEI, Whiskey 0, Lima, Echo, India, Chad in Stout, no traffic.
November 0, Kilowatt, Golf, United, Don and Loveland, no traffic.
Echo, X-Ray, Victor, Brian Greeley, no traffic.
All right, I got a 4. W0LEI Chad and 0KGU Don, AE0CF Ben, and Brian EXV. I forget your prefix. But I know you, so that's okay. We got 4 out of that deal. Next 3, please call now.
This is 0AZA, Kilo 0 Alpha, Zulu Alpha, Ron in Fort Collins, and I do have something to share with the group.
That acknowledges K0AZA. Ron, good evening, and I have you written down as something to share. Somebody doubled with Ron at the beginning, but Ron won. Was there a station that doubled? Go again, please. Okay, we'll chalk it up to noise. Next 3, suffixes Alpha through Mike. Please call now.
Kilo Golf 6 Oscar Bravo Charlie, KG6OBC, Mobile, Justin.
Okay, got KG6OBC. We'll go ahead and open it up to all call suffixes. Please call net control now. And again, remember to go slow so I can write it down.
This is Kilo Bravo 0 Yankee Delta November KB0YDN, and I got them backwards again. Eric, Pinewood Reservoir.
This is K5SGC Kilo 5 Sierra Golf Charlie, Dave in Fort Collins.
Kilo 0 Tango November Papa. This is TJ in Windsor.
If anybody else like to check in this evening, please call now.
W5 VV Whiskey 5 Victor Bill in Livermore.
That would like to acknowledge W5VV. Bill, your background echo there was a little bit strong, but we got you anyway. Anyone else like to check in before we get rolling this evening?
This is Kilo
November 0 Hotel Alpha Kilo K0HAK. Dave in Fort Collins via Echo Link tonight.
Kilo 0 Tango November Papa. This is TJ in Windsor.
Roger. And I would like to acknowledge K0TNP, TJ in Windsor. All right. Ron, K0AZA, what did you have for us this evening? I will also take check-ins later on through the net if someone comes in late. Go ahead, Ron.
Thanks, Bart. It's Ron, K0AZA. Something I did this weekend, and it's one of those things where it's probably very obvious to many of you, but it wasn't for me. I've been running my mobile through this cigarette lighter with not very good success, and decided I really needed to wire everything into the battery. I've been looking at it for about 3 months because every time I looked at the firewall, I couldn't figure out how to get the power cable through the firewall so I could connect it to the battery. I finally did some digging and research and had an epiphany. Let me do a reset here. The hood release cable runs through a grommet in the firewall, and once I realized that it was right there, very obvious where it was, I got a metal coat hanger and simply poked a hole through the grommet with the coat hanger, taped the cable onto the end of the coat hanger, sprayed it with a little WD-40 to make it nice and slick, and pulled it through, and the whole process took about 5 minutes. So I thought I'd share that in case any of the rest of you have struggled with how do I get a cable through a firewall, that may be an option if you've got the cable type hood release. K0AZA, back to net.
Comment, LEI.
Very good information, Ron. LEI, go.
Along the same subject, I found that underneath the passenger seat and the driver's seat are weep holes in the floorboard, and I I now just drop down and come up through that weep hole and go from there?
Roger, roger. I would caution you on using the weep holes. Make sure you seal it really, really well and put a sleeve on the outside of the wires. You can get a fair amount of air pressure underneath the car, and if it happens to be rainy and wet, it can actually ingest a fair amount of water up through there. I flooded the back seat of a Buick LeSabre that way. Not deliberately, but the weep hole plug had been pushed out by too many feet wearing on it, and I got about 4 inches of water in the back floorboards, which could be a bad thing depending on where your other electronics are mounted. So as long as you stabilize the wire and make sure that it's good and watertight, that will work well. There are a lot of older cars it was real easy because you had a throttle cable going through the firewall, and of course your brake stuff, and some electrical cables, and your speedometer cable, and your park brake cable, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. With the number of drive-by-wire vehicles out there, it gets harder to find big cable places to go through, and there's less available, but there's still some. You can still find holes here and there that have been plugged, and they have that rubber membrane on them, and that is an easy way to go. I recommend securing your wires very, very well, because the last thing you want is one of them to get down in the vicinity of the accelerator or the brake cable, and you'll stomp on it and tear it loose. It gets interesting as cars get newer and newer, and it gets harder and harder to install radios. Why don't they just put radio terminals in the car? I guess it would cost too much. This is N0NYY Net Control for this evening's NCARC TechNet. Anyone else have any subjects or questions for the net this evening?
Oscar Bravo Charlie, comment on power cable installs?
Dustin?
Just as a kind of a fair warning, my profession, I work on German automotive vehicles in a dealership setting, and a lot of the newer cars, I cannot speak for every make, model on the road, a lot of them have computer modules, and they put them in very silly places. There's a few models that I work with that they are in a proverbial bowl under the rear passenger seat, or under the front driver's or passenger seats, and when water is introduced to the interior of the vehicle, lots of things go wrong very quickly. So it's kind of tie on with Bart's comment there to make sure things are sealed correctly, because those little computer modules, they are not cheap, and they are time-consuming to replace and program. A lot of these cars operate on basically a kind of individual internet and use lots of very small voltage communication. Anyway, KG6OBC. I'll go back to listening in.
And thank you very much for your input. Yep, you got to watch what's around there, and it gets harder and harder. Like I said, many vehicles with many weird things in many weird places. There used to be one computer under the hood. Then they started putting them under the dash. Then there was 2 computers. Then there was 3. I don't know how many they use in various cars today. I know that the Ford vans, which were like the 650, 750 that we used to work on before I retired, had an engine control module, a transmission control module, body control modules. There was even one called a front control module, which handled your dashboard and all your switches and knobs and gauges, because that got too elaborate for the engine control module to handle. So they all do it different, and you want to know where they are, and you really want to take a good look at what you're poking the wires through. All right. First of all, any other check-ins for the net this evening? Please give your call sign alphabetically and phonetically, and slowly enough for the old guy to keep up. All right. Not hearing any new check-ins. Does anyone else have any subjects or questions for the net this evening?
Anybody? Mic check. Anybody?
If that was a mic check, you are successful. Go ahead and ID, please.
Appreciate it.
The last station with a mic check, would you ID, please? Who is this?
No ID available.
If you have no ID, then I will tell you it is a violation of federal law for you to transmit on a ham radio frequency. Please don't do it again. Any other questions or comments for the net this evening?
My apologies. I will remain offline.
MLG.
Go ahead, Marty.
I just want to give Ron a good compliment. That is that's been what's been keeping me from putting mobile in my Kia. And that's going to probably be a game changer because I do have that cable to release the hood. So thanks, Ron. Good job.
YDM.
Go ahead, Eric.
This interesting. Last time I did that, I went through the wiring harness grommet on a Subaru and had no problems at all. The grommet just sealed up around the wires without any problems. On my current car, I found the dash assembly to be too convoluted for mere mortals. So I took it to a friend's stereo installation shop, and they had the wires through in about 45 minutes and did a professional job on securing them under the hood for not a lot of money. So if you come to that point where you're not willing to fight the Rubik's Cube that is dashboard assembly, there are installers that do this stuff all the time in all sorts of cars, and they probably know a trick that you don't. K0YDM, back to that.
Whenever possible, a professional is always a good idea. Yes, you're going to pay for it, but you're probably going to get a pretty good job, and this is a really classic example of exactly that. I used to do it for a living, but now, if I have to climb under the dash of my little Kia, we're going to have a tow truck or an ambulance out there to help get me out from under it because it's just hard to work like that anymore. I'm not as flexible as I once was. This is M0NYY, net control for this evening's NCARC TechNet. Do we have any other stations that would like to check in at this point? Do we have any other folks on the net with questions, comments, or information for the net?
Bart, you did a perfect double with somebody trying to check in.
Station I doubled with. Go again, please.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 0 India Bravo X-Ray, Brian and Greeley.
Gotcha, Brian. Thank you for checking in. Any other subjects, questions, topics of discussion for the net this evening?
Negative, no topics. I just hopped in the truck and heard the net was going.
Roger, roger, gotcha. Anyone else have any topics or questions for the net? Please call now.
N0EMP.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, for the benefit of anyone who may be listening and not transmitting because they're not licensed and they're wondering what this net is or what this frequency is, we are on a amateur radio allocated frequency right now in the 70 centimeter band for amateur radio use. And anyone with the appropriate amateur radio license can use it. We, the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club, NCARC, has a website, ncarc.net, and we have a technician class, which is the lowest level of license, but it gives you privileges here on this repeater. We have a class coming up soon, this fall, in the Loveland, Fort Collins area. And the class is free. The test is free. The FCC charges, what, $5 now for a license or $10 or something? I don't know. They charge a little bit for a license. I think the license is good for 10 years or something like that. So look into that if you're interested in becoming licensed. N0EMP.
Thank you, Greg. All right. Do we have any other questions, comments, or information for the net? Please call now.
K0TMP.
Go ahead, DJ.
Hey, a few weeks back, someone called in with a question on their APRS. They were bidding kind of some random transmissions whenever they fired up their rig, which was whenever they fired up their vehicle. I was kind of wondering if there's any resolution on that.
K0HAK. Yeah, I think there actually was some resolution on that. I think that was me that brought up that topic a couple of weeks ago, and I wound up emailing a couple of the fellows, and it turns out something was misconfigured, and I have not received any more of those transmissions since that time, K0HAK.
Dave, was that in your configuration or in the transmitting or beaconing station?
Yeah, that was in one of the transmitting configurations. It was, I guess, something was programmed to do too many hops on the APRS, and so it was kind of rebroadcasting that out somehow.
Roger, Roger. Good information. I remember somebody thought that might be the case. I can't remember who. But good question. Thank you, TJ. And Dave, I'm glad you were here to follow up with that. Do we have any other questions or comments for the net this evening? Well, having gotten home late and not had dinner, I'm going to go ahead and close the net for this evening. You are, of course, welcome to carry on as need be, if need be. This is N0NYY net control for this evening's NCARC TechNet. Thanks to all that checked in. Thanks to all that participated. I don't know who's up next week, but it might not be me, or it might be me. You never know. We all take turns. There's 4 or 5 of us, and Kyle would have been on tonight, but he had something come up, so he had to go. So I will say 7-3 all, and N0EMP, can you hang around for just a second?
Yeah, firm.
All right. We will return the repeater to normal service once again.
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. For more information, visit our website, ncarc.net. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.